Music, are you searching for that feeling of coming home? That feeling of release and peace? It's a feeling we all long for, but often find ourselves separated from. The root of this separation is the mind, the source of our suffering. But what if I told you there was a way to return to that sense of oneness? In this video, we'll explore the topic of addiction from a spiritual perspective. We'll dive deep into the patterns and behaviors that keep us separate and explore how we can break free from the chains of reactivity. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Addiction is not evil. It's simply an attempt to return to that state of oneness, to find that feeling of home again. The problem is, most addictive behaviors only provide temporary relief. They give us a taste of that oneness, but then we're thrown out again. It's like visiting the presence of Christ for a couple of hours when it would be better to become Christ ourselves. We get stuck in a cycle of short-term gratification, constantly seeking the next fix to alleviate the pain of separateness. Whether it's drugs, relationships, material possessions, or even food, these behaviors provide a momentary rush but do not allow us to stay connected to that oneness. And this is where the real challenge lies. How do we find lasting fulfillment instead of chasing after fleeting moments of relief? The key is to shift our perspective and start doing the spiritual practices that allow us to see ourselves in a new light. By studying and understanding the hunger and yearning within us, we can begin to develop a different relationship with our addictions. We don't have to fight them directly. Instead, we focus on deepening our spiritual practices and cultivating awareness. As our awareness grows stronger, we can intervene at different points in the chain of reactivity. We start by breaking the cycle of self-judgment and guilt. We learn to see our behaviors as old karma running off, a part of our journey towards self-realization. And as we continue to practice, we go further back in the chain, interrupting the separation and yearning before it even takes hold. But here's the thing. Dealing with addiction head-on can often create a new addiction to being not addicted. We become fixated on the idea of being free from addiction, which can be just as limiting. Instead, we focus on a bigger perspective, recognizing the poignancy of the human condition and approaching ourselves with gentleness and compassion. As you journey on this path, you may find that your patterns of obsessions and addictions start to change naturally. You'll no longer need to rely on willpower or forceful interventions. And when you do slip up, instead of berating yourself, you simply notice it and gently redirect your attention to your spiritual practices. The beauty of this approach is that it's not about perfection or overcoming addiction once and for all, but it's about cultivating awareness and finding balance in our human experience. It's about gradually unraveling the chains of reactivity and opening ourselves up to the possibility of lasting fulfillment. So, my friend, as you reflect on this message, I invite you to take a moment to consider the actions you'll implement in your own life. How can you deepen your spiritual practices? How can you develop a different relationship with your cravings and addictions? Take your time, and remember, this is a journey, not a destination. Thank you for watching. If you found this video valuable, consider subscribing to our channel, liking this video, and hitting the notification bell. By doing so, you'll stay connected and receive more insightful content to support you on your quest for personal growth and spiritual awakening. And if you found this message truly transformative, consider giving a tip in proportion to the value you received. Your support allows us to continue spreading these teachings and creating more empowering content for you and others like you. Stay curious, stay committed, and together, let's walk the path towards oneness. Music. Welcome back, guys. Today, we're diving deep into the power of our thoughts and how they shape our reality. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Do our thoughts really have that big of an impact on our lives? Well, let me ask you this. How many of us wake up every morning and consciously create the future we desire? The truth is, most of us don't, because deep down, we don't truly believe that our thoughts have the power to transform our lives. But what if I told you that your brain is a reflection of everything you know in your life? It's like a record, an artifact of your past experiences. So here's the question. Does your environment control your thinking, or does your thinking control your environment? Let that sink in for a moment. Think about your daily routine. Do you wake up and go through the same motions every day? Do you follow the same habits and behaviors? If so, then your brain is simply reflecting everything that's familiar and known to you. And when you keep thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, and experiencing the same emotions, what do you think happens? You keep creating more of the same life. But here's the thing. To truly change, you have to think greater than your environment. You have to become someone new. Just think about all the great figures in history. From William Wallace to Mahatma Gandhi to Martin Luther King Jr., they all had a vision. An idea that was so alive in their minds that they began living as if it had already happened. So here's my challenge to you. Can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet? Can you think about it enough times in your mind that your brain starts to change, as if the event has already happened? Neuroscience says it's absolutely possible. Now, let's talk about personality. Your personality creates your personal reality. It's as simple as that. And your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So if you want to create a new personal reality, you have to change your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. Most people try to create a new reality with the same old personality, and it never works. You have to become someone else. But how do you change your mind? Well, the key is knowledge, information. Every time you learn something new, you make a new connection in your brain. And every time you repeat the same thoughts, actions, and experiences, your brain fires in the same patterns, creating a personality box that keeps you stuck. To truly change, you have to make your brain work in new sequences, patterns, and combinations. And the one ingredient that allows you to do that is knowledge. By learning new things, you expand your potential and break free from the limitations of your past. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Your thoughts and feelings are connected. Every time you have a thought, you make a chemical in your brain. And depending on the type of thought, positive or negative, your brain fires in different sequences and patterns, producing different emotions. And guess what? Your body responds to these emotions, and the cycle continues. So when you think negatively, you feel negatively, and when you feel negatively, you think negatively. It's a never-ending loop that keeps you trapped in the same state of being. But here's the good news. You have the power to recondition your body to a new mind. You can break free from the cycle of negative thinking and feeling. And how do you do that? By changing your state of being. Your thoughts, actions, and emotions must align with the future you desire. Now, I know it's easy to wait for a crisis or trauma to force us into change. But why wait? We can learn and change in a state of joy and inspiration, rather than pain and suffering. It's up to us to take control of our thoughts and create the life we want. So here's my challenge to you. What actions will you take today to implement the knowledge you've gained from this video? How will you change your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions to create a new personal reality? Comment down below and let's start this journey of transformation together. And remember, if you found this video valuable and want to show your appreciation, consider giving a tip proportional to the value received. The link can be found in the video description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay positive and keep growing.